The morning bell hadn't even rung yet when people started whispering. At Jefferson Elementary, whispers spread faster than wildfire, especially when they involved someone like little Emily Carter, the quiet girl who always sat at the back of the class, clutching her backpack like it was her only shield against the world. That morning she walked through the school gates with her hood pulled tight. A bruise bloomed beneath her left eye, purple and swollen, stark against her pale skin. Her hair hung in tangled strands and her sneakers were torn at the edges. "Did you see her face?" a boy whispered. "Yeah, looks like she got hit or something," another muttered, eyes wide. Emily kept her eyes on the cracked concrete path, pretending not to hear. She had mastered that art, the art of pretending not to notice the pity in people's eyes, pretending her mom didn't cry herself to sleep, pretending the monster who lived in their house wasn't her stepfather. Inside the classroom, the teacher froze mid-sentence when she saw Emily. "Oh, sweetheart," she said softly, "what happened to your eye?" Emily hesitated, her throat tightened. "I fell," she whispered. The lie tasted bitter, but lies were easier than truth. "Are you sure?" the teacher asked, kneeling beside her desk. "Because if someone hurt you—" "I said I fell," Emily repeated, her voice trembling but sharp. The teacher sighed, recognizing the wall the child had built between herself and the world. She nodded and walked away, though the worry in her eyes deepened. That day Emily didn't talk much. She just stared out the window, her small hands folded on the desk, watching the wind rattle the leaves outside. The bruise on her face wasn't the worst part, it was what lived behind her eyes. A quiet exhaustion, far too old for an 11-year-old girl. At lunch the bullies came. "Hey, raccoon girl," one sneered, tossing a piece of bread at her. The cafeteria erupted in giggles. Emily flinched, shrinking into herself. "What happened? Your daddy smack you again," another boy jeered. That word, daddy, stabbed like a knife. Her real dad had left when she was 3. Her mom's new boyfriend, Chuck, wasn't a father. He was a storm that never stopped. Every night his voice thundered through the walls. Every night Emily wished for silence. "Leave me alone," she whispered. But they didn't. They never did. The boys laughed, circling her like wolves, until the lunch lady shouted from across the cafeteria. Emily grabbed her bag and ran outside, tears blurring her vision. She found her usual spot, the corner of the school playground behind the rusted bleachers. There, she hugged her knees and cried quietly, the world muffled by her own sobs. That's when she heard the sound. The distant rumble of engines, deep, growling, like thunder rolling across asphalt. Emily wiped her tears and looked up. Down the street, a group of motorcycles roared past the school gates. Huge, gleaming machines, their riders clad in leather and denim, the emblem of a winged skull painted on their jackets. Hell's Angels. The name alone sent a shiver through her small frame. She'd heard the older kids talk about them, how they were tough, dangerous, untouchable. But to Emily in that moment they looked like something else entirely. Free. They didn't look scared. They didn't look weak. They didn't look like people who got pushed around. She stared after them, the engines fatting into the distance, and whispered something to herself she hadn't dared say out loud before. "I wish I had someone like that." That evening the house was quiet when she got home, too quiet. Her mother sat at the kitchen table, bruised lip trembling as she sipped coffee. Chuck wasn't there yet. Emily dropped her backpack and hesitated. "Mom, are you okay?" Her mom forced a smile. "I'm fine, baby, don't worry about me." But Emily saw the truth in the way her mother's hands shook. "Why don't we leave?" she whispered. Her mom's eyes filled with tears. "It's not that simple, honey. We don't have anywhere to go." Emily looked down, her small fists clenched. "Maybe I can find someone to help us." Her mom just sighed and brushed her hair back. "There's no one, sweetheart." But Emily didn't believe that. She couldn't. That night after Chuck came home drunk and broke another plate, Emily sat in her room, holding her stuffed bear tight, the noise downstairs echoing in her head. She whispered into the dark, "Someone help us, please." The next day she made a plan. Friday afternoon, the school held a Bring Your Dad to School Day. Posters hung in the hallway, showing smiling fathers with their kids, fixing model rockets, building birdhouses, eating pizza together. Emily stared at one of the posters, her heart pounding. She didn't have a dad, but that wasn't fair. Everyone else did. Why couldn't she? At recess, while other kids played, she sat near the fence that bordered the schoolyard. Beyond it, a long stretch of road led toward the old gas station on the edge of town. Sometimes bikers stopped there. She waited. Hours passed. The final bell rang, the parking lot emptied, the air smelled like rain. Then she heard it again, the low growl of engines. Two motorcycles rolled into the lot near the fence. The men dismounted, both tall, both wearing leather vests with Hell's Angels California patched across the back. One had a gray beard, eyes hidden behind dark sunglasses. The other was younger, tattooed arms and a cigarette dangling from his lips. Emily's heart raced. She pressed her small hands against the fence. The older man noticed her first. "Hey, kid," he called. "You okay?" She hesitated. Then she stepped closer, her voice small but steady. "Can I ask you something?" The men exchanged a glance. "Sure," the younger one said, amused. "What's up, sweetheart?" Emily swallowed hard. "Will you be my dad?" Silence. Even the engine seemed to quiet. The men froze, unsure if they'd heard right. "What did you say?" the older one asked gently. Tears welled in her eyes. "Please, just for tomorrow. Everyone at school's bringing their dads and I don't have one." The older biker removed his sunglasses. His eyes softened. "What's your name, kid?" "Emily," she whispered. "Emily Carter." He crouched down beside the fence. "I'm Reaper," he said, voice low but kind. "And that's my brother, Tank. We're not exactly the PTA type." "I don't care," Emily said. "You look strong. You look like someone nobody would mess with." Tank chuckled, scratching his beard. "She's got a point, Reap." Reaper smiled sadly. "Listen, sweetheart, you sure your mom's okay with?" "She doesn't have to know," Emily said quickly. "Please, just for one day, I just want to feel safe." Something in her voice broke him. Reaper had a daughter once. She'd be about Emily's age now, but cancer had taken her years ago, leaving a hollow space he never filled again. He glanced at Tank. "What do you think?" Tank shrugged. "Kid's got guts. I say we give her a day she won't forget." Reaper nodded slowly. "All right, Emily, we'll come." Her face lit up. "Really?" "Yeah," Reaper said with a half-smile. "Tomorrow morning we'll be there." She grinned, a real smile for the first time in months. "Thank you." As she ran off, clutching her backpack, Reaper exhaled, staring after her. Tank crossed his arms. "You think that's smart?" Tank asked. "Showing up at a school in cuts, people freak out when they see us." Reaper's jaw tightened. "That kid's got nobody. We can deal with a few looks." He didn't say the rest, but Tank knew what he was thinking. Maybe in helping her he could quiet his own ghosts. The next morning, the school buzzed with laughter and chatter. Fathers in flannel shirts and suits helped their kids build birdhouses, snapped photos, and shared pizza slices. Emily stood near the back, her heart hammering. She wore her cleanest dress, the yellow one her mom bought for Easter, and waited. Minutes passed. Kids looked at her, whispering. "Guess her dad's not coming," one girl said. Emily's throat burned. Maybe they weren't coming. Maybe she was stupid to believe. Then came the sound. The ground trembled. Engines roared. Teachers froze mid-sentence. 27 motorcycles rolled into the school parking lot, black and chrome, glinting under the morning sun. The rumble grew louder until every head turned. The front gates swung open. At the lead, Reaper rode in, his leather vest flapping, sunglasses gleaming. Behind him, rows of Hell's Angels followed, everyone wearing the same patch. Students gasped, parents whispered, teachers panicked. Emily's mouth fell open. Her heart exploded with pure disbelief. They came. They actually came. Reaper parked his bike near the playground and took off his helmet. "Hey, kid," he said, smiling. "Told you we'd show." Emily ran to him and threw her arms around his waist, burying her face against the leather. "You came," she said, voice muffled. Reaper chuckled softly, resting a gloved hand on her back. "Course we did. Couldn't let my little girl down." The playground went silent. The other kids stared, jaws hanging. Even the bullies were frozen in place. Tank grinned, lighting a cigarette. "Looks like we just crashed career day." Reaper looked down at Emily. "You ready to have some fun, kiddo?" She nodded, tears glistening. "Yeah." As they walked toward the field, 27 bikers following behind like a wall of thunder, every whisper turned into awe. And somewhere, watching from the classroom window, Emily's teacher covered her mouth in shock. But for the first time, she saw something in the little girl's face that hadn't been there before. Hope. The schoolyard was chaos. Teachers rushed toward the entrance, whispering into walkie-talkies. Parents grabbed their kids' hands and backed away like the bikers were a stampede of wild animals. But Emily, she just smiled. She held Reaper's hand, her tiny fingers clutching his leather glove like it was a lifeline. The other Hell's Angels stood in a loose formation behind them, tattooed, rough, yet strangely gentle in the way they moved around her. For once, nobody laughed at her, nobody called her names, nobody dared. Reaper looked down at her. "You sure you're okay with all this attention, kid?" Emily grinned shyly. "I don't care, they're just jealous." Tank chuckled from behind. "She's got more backbone than half the adults I know." Reaper smirked. "Yeah, reminds me of someone." They walked across the playground, engines still ticking as the last of the bikes cooled in the lot. Children peeked from behind teachers, whispering. One brave boy finally shouted, "Whoa, are you guys real bikers?" Tank nodded. "Last time I checked, kid." The laughter that followed broke the tension. Even a few teachers smiled nervously. Reaper knelt beside Emily. "All right, what's this bring your dad to school thing? What do we gotta do?" Emily pointed toward the gymnasium. "They're doing projects with their dads. Some are building birdhouses, some are making posters." Reaper raised an eyebrow. "You ever built a birdhouse, Tank?" Tank snorted. "I can fix an engine, not a bird condo." Reaper grinned. "Guess we're improvising." When they entered the gym, all sound seemed to drain out of the room. Dozens of fathers stood beside their kids, flannel shirts, ties, and proud smiles. Then the doors creaked open, and 27 men in black leather walked in, led by a little girl with a yellow dress and a bruise fatting beneath her eye. Every head turned, every whisper stopped. A teacher, Mrs. Calloway, stepped forward, her voice trembling. Excuse me, gentlemen, can I help you?" Reaper nodded politely. "We're here with Emily Carter." Her brows shot up. "Oh, I see." She hesitated, glancing at Emily, who beamed like it was Christmas morning. Reaper's tone softened. "We're just here for the day, nothing more." Mrs. Calloway swallowed hard, but seeing the little girl's joy, she forced a smile. "Well, all right then. Just, maybe don't rev the engines inside the gym." Tank muttered under his breath, "No promises." They found a table and began helping Emily build her project, a small poster about "What My Dad Does." Emily wrote in big uneven letters, "My dad protects people." Reaper blinked at the words. "That what you think we do, kid?" Emily nodded. "You make people safe. Nobody's scared when you're here." He looked away for a moment, throat tight. "Yeah, maybe you're right." As they worked, a few other dads came over, curious. One of them, a big man in a suit, forced a polite smile. "So, What do you fellas do for a living? Tank smirked. Community outreach. The man blinked. Oh, that's nice. Reaper grinned. We reach out to the community when it causes trouble. Emily giggled. It was the first time anyone had heard her laugh at school. By lunchtime, something unexpected happened. The fear began to fade. The bikers were cracking jokes with kids, helping hammer birdhouse pieces together, even letting a few boys sit on their motorcycles for photos. The school that had been frozen in fear now buzzed with awe and excitement. But one person wasn't smiling, Mrs. Calloway. She noticed the bruise on Emily's face the day before. And now, seeing her clinging to these men with desperate affection, something in her heart ached. She called the principal aside. "Mark, we need to talk about Emily Carter." The principal frowned. "The girl with the bikers." "Yes, I'm worried. That bruise didn't look accidental, and now she's bringing strangers from a motorcycle club to school." The principal sighed. "You think she's in danger?" Mrs. Calloway nodded gravely. "I know she is." The day passed like a dream for Emily. Reaper helped her finish her poster. Tank and a few of the angels gave her a small silver keychain shaped like a winged skull. "So you always remember," Tank said. "You've got people who got your back." When the bell rang, Emily didn't want to leave. "Do you guys have to go?" Reaper crouched to her height. "For now, yeah, but if you ever need us again, you tell us, all right." She nodded, eyes watering. "You'll come." He smiled gently. "Try to stop us." They said goodbye, the bikes roaring to life one by one, shaking the parking lot as they rolled out in formation. Emily watched until the last one disappeared down the road, clutching the keychain tight in her palm. That night she couldn't stop smiling. For once she didn't dread going home. But when she opened the front door, her smile vanished. Chuck sat on the couch, half-drunk, eyes bloodshot. The TV flickered blue across the room. Her mom stood in the kitchen, frozen mid-step. "Where were you?" Chuck growled. "At school," Emily whispered. He sneered. "You think I do know? My buddies saw you. Said a whole gang showed up. What the hell did you do, huh? You trying to embarrass me?" Her mom stepped forward. "Chuck, please don't." "Shut up," he snapped, slamming his beer on the table. "You tellin' people I hit you, is that it?" Emily backed away, trembling. "And no." Chuck stood, towering over her. "You think you can just go running around with those thugs? You think they'll save you?" He took a step closer. Emily's mom screamed, "Chuck, stop." But before he could raise his hand, headlights flashed through the window. The low rumble of motorcycles filled the night air. Chuck froze. "What the?" he muttered, walking to the window. Outside, engines lined the street, dozens of them. The same symbol, Hell's Angels, gleamed under the porch light. Reaper stepped off his bike, his face calm but cold. "Evening," he said through the open window. Chuck stumbled back. "Who the hell are you?" Reaper's voice was steady. "You already know who I am. I'm the guy your little girl asked to be her dad." For a moment, silence hung heavy in the air. Then from behind him, Tank called, "Reap, you want us to handle this the easy way or the hard way?" Reaper didn't take his eyes off Chuck. "We're just here to talk." Emily stood frozen near the door, tears spilling down her cheeks. "You came," she whispered. Reaper smiled softly at her. "Told you we would." Chuck's voice shook. You can't just come here." Reaper stepped closer, his boots crunching on the gravel. "You ever lay another hand on her or her mom again, you'll find out exactly what we can do." Chuck's face went pale. "You threatening me?" Reaper didn't blink. "I'm making you a promise." Tank leaned on his bike. "Don't test him, pal. You won't like how it ends." Emily's mom stood in the doorway, tears streaming down her face. "Please," she whispered, "don't make this worse." Reaper turned to her, voice softening. "Ma'am, I ain't here to cause trouble. I'm here to make sure he never touches either of you again." Chuck started shouting, but his words drowned in the roar of engines as the angels revved their bikes in unison. The noise filled the night like thunder, powerful, unrelenting. Chuck flinched, backing away toward the kitchen. Reaper lowered his voice. "You want to act like a man. Start by protecting your family, not hurting Em." He turned to Emily, kneeling down. "You okay, kid?" Emily nodded weakly, clutching his sleeve. "You came just like you said." Reaper smiled faintly. "Always, kid." He looked up at her mom. "You got a car?" She nodded, "Yes." "Pack your things tonight." She hesitated, staring at him in disbelief. "I can't just." "You can," Reaper said firmly. "We'll make sure you get somewhere safe." Her voice broke. "Why would you do this for us?" Reaper looked back at Emily. "Because she asked me to be her dad, and I don't break my word." An hour later, the angels escorted a small car out of the neighborhood. Inside, Emily and her mother sat together, the girl clutching her stuffed bear and keychain. Outside the window, bikes flanked both sides of the car like armored guardians. Every turn, every stoplight, no one dared come close. When they reached a quiet motel outside town, Reaper parked his bike and helped them carry their bags inside. "You can stay here tonight," he said. "Tomorrow we'll figure something better." Emily's mom choked up. "I don't know how to thank you." "You don't need to," he said softly. "Just keep that little girl safe." He turned to Emily. "You did good, kid." She smiled faintly. "You really are my dad now, huh?" Reaper paused, eyes glistening. "If you want me to be, yeah, I can be." Emily hugged him tight. "Then don't leave, okay?" He knelt, his voice thick. "Never, kid, never again." But deep down, he knew the storm wasn't over, because men like Chuck didn't give up easily. And when the law got involved, bikers, bruises, and little girls, things always got messy. The next morning, a police cruiser pulled into the motel parking lot. And just like that, Emily's fragile peace began to crack again.